Welcome to the first episode of The Velvet Room. I'm so happy to have you. Oh my gosh, welcome to our sanctuary, welcome to our lair, welcome to our sacred space, welcome to our sexy boudoir. Let me tell you something. I have had an obsession with, I don't know, I just love that aesthetic. It's just very, I don't know, it's just very sexy, very feminine, very sensual to me. Welcome to the Velvet Room. I'm in Mexico City. And let me tell you something. I moved to Mexico City in August 2025. Now, this is how I got here, first of all. I was a little bit upset at the United States because I used to live in Los Angeles, California. I was very, very upset at the United States for voting Trump in. It really made me viscerally angry. And because I can't blow things up and go to jail because I refuse to do that, I just really had to figure out how to get out of there. And you know what made it worse is all of the trauma and all of the world ending situations, the world ending news that we had every single day. Like, I'm sorry, the United States got so traumatic for me, so dramatic for me in 2025. I literally could not handle it. Like, my spirit could not function in a such a just activated country. I just felt like the United States was so activated. And I had something that I wanted to get out, and I had ways I wanted to express myself, but I just felt like I was being traumatized every single day, and I had conflict every single day with the news and everything, and with the presidency and with the government and with ICE and with the protests and all of these things. Like, literally, it's too much for me. For me and my spirit, it was way too much. And I think if you were following me, it got to a point where I wasn't even really doing makeup videos. You just saw me walking around the neighborhood sniffing flowers, trying to like have a good day. I've been seeing a lot of just red today. Red, pink. I'm gonna figure out what that means. But look at this girl. Like, you're just that bitch. On your own, carrying the whole tree. And that was like the only thing I can do to keep myself sane, because everywhere you turn, you hear like the most devastating news. And I literally could not I could not handle it. That's not my thing. Conflict for no for no fucking reason is not my thing. And that just, to me, conflict for no reason. Anyways, everything around me was expired. Not only was I upset with the news, the government, the country, I did not like the people that were coming into my life. I didn't like the opportunities that were not happening. I didn't like the ways that I couldn't express myself. I didn't like the dimension I was in. I didn't like the support system I had. I didn't like the friends that I was attached to. I didn't like anything about that. And for me, if I don't like something, I'm literally going to change it. I'm going to make a plan to change it, because for me, the most important thing is my happiness and my peace. So I remember asking my spirit guides and the people that watch over me, like, how do I get out of here? Just tell me how to get out of here, because this is way too much for me. I cannot maneuver. I feel like I'm dying. My spirit feels like it's dying. And I asked that for about a week or two, like, please help me find a way out of this icky feeling in this environment in Los Angeles and also in the United States. It was just icky. And one morning, I kid you not, my spirit woke me up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and it said, go to Mexico City. And I was like, oh my God. First of all, how'd you know I wanted to go there? Second of all, amazing. What a great plan. And I was so happy to finally hear from my spirit guides, because I hadn't heard from them in a while, because it's been so traumatic in that country, and just the energy in that land is so intense that I couldn't hear from myself. So when I woke, my higher self, my people woke me up in the middle of the night at 4:30 in the morning and said, go to Mexico City. I was like, thank you. I don't know what this means, but that sounds like a great idea. And then I said, well, how am I going to do it? Because I don't know anybody in Mexico City, nor do I have any work or business there. So what should I do? And my higher self and my spiritual guides and my God said, sell all your stuff. Just sell all your stuff and go. And at the time, I had developed my I call it beauty artistry. My beauty videos, my beauty content, my beauty artistry. So I developed a lot of relationships with a lot of my favorite beauty brands, and I had a lot of product, and I literally felt like I was living inside of a Sephora because I had makeup and skincare everywhere. And my spirit guide said, sell all your stuff and go. So that's when I had my big beauty sale, when I was selling all of my makeup. Okay, so let's pack some more. House Labs Power Sculpt Bronzer in Hatoba Sun. In there. And as soon as all of my makeup sold, I literally, like you guys, I didn't even look. I didn't even Google Mexico City. Like, I've always wanted to come here, but at the time, I didn't even Google it. I didn't even look to see where's the best places to go. Like, what is the landscape? What is the altitude? Like, what is the elevation? What is the geography? I didn't even look. I literally was just like, in my mind, I'm selling my stuff. I'm having a beauty sale to go to Mexico City. So I sold all my things. Thank you guys so much. I hope you enjoy them. All of my stuff, my favorite things. I hope you enjoy them. I sold all my things, and interestingly enough, probably about a week before I was supposed to leave, I went on a walk that night to a brewery in my neighborhood. And there was a guy there that I think I recognized, but I wasn't sure. And I walked past him just to make sure. And he stopped me and he said, wait, do I know you? Hold on, this is to my dress. He said, wait, do I know you? And I said, maybe. Where are you from? Who are you? And he told me where he was from. He actually used to work at Playboy when I was Playmate of the Year. And he was one of the only black guy. I think he was the only black guy that worked at Playboy at the time. He was a DJ for them, and he worked in like marketing. And I was like, oh my gosh, hey, whatever his name is. And we just caught up and we talked about what that time was, what we've been doing since then, and what we want to do coming up. And I told him I wanted to go to Mexico City. And he said, I just got back from Mexico City a week ago. Beautiful country. I love it. You're going to love it. It's amazing. It's magical. Go. So I said, okay, so what should I do? And he said, well, go to either La Roma or Condesa. That's where you should land, and then you'll maneuver from there. So I said, okay. So I think that night I got an Airbnb for a week to La Roma in Mexico City. I got my flight, and I packed all my things. I broke my lease. I literally I burned every single bridge I had in Los Angeles at the time. I burned every single bridge I had in the United States. Not burn the bridge. I didn't burn the bridge. I just put a barricade over the entrance and the exit so we couldn't walk across anymore. I'll say that. I still have connections, but we just can't walk across until I take that barricade off. Okay? No bridges burned. But I put a barricade over the bridge that led me back to the United States and Los Angeles, and I just looked forward to Mexico City. So I get on the plane, and literally when I land and I go and I pick up my stuff and I cross over customs, amazing customs, by the way, so nice. I cross over customs, I get my bag, I get in the Uber, and I'm headed toward my Airbnb. And I remember just feeling like, Like the biggest sigh of relief ever. As soon as I touched down on this land, I felt so happy, like the biggest sigh of relief. And we drove to my Airbnb, and I just could not believe that I packed my shit and left. I am known to do this. I just hadn't done it in a while. The first time I did it was South Africa in 2011. This is the second time I just packed my shit and left and went to a different country. Didn't know what I was doing. But I couldn't believe I did it. On one hand, it felt like, oh my gosh, this literally is you. This is the things that you do, and you do need to be out in the world in a place that's unfamiliar. And another thing was like, and this place just feels so magical. This place feels so light and magical. And I just knew as soon as I touched down that I was in the right place. This is my first night in Mexico City. I just want to report that I am so happy. I feel like myself again. I feel free. I can't believe I did this. I can believe I did this because this was a million years coming. But I'm in Mexico City and I'll be here for the next 2 weeks. And it's just gonna be completely magical. So the first week I got here, I just walked around. Because like I said, I didn't look up the geography or anything like that. I literally was like, I'm going because my higher self told me to go, and we never steer us wrong. So I'm just going. And so the first week I just walked around. I couldn't believe how green and beautiful it is. And Barcelona is one of my favorite cities. And so it felt very colonial Barcelona. That isn't, it makes sense to me, but like when I just said it, it sounded weird. Very colonial Barcelonian. It felt like I was in Barcelona, and it felt like I was in like these are colonial times. Like the architecture is so beautiful. The structures are so beautiful. Everything is just so romantic, which is literally just my vibe. There are trees everywhere. It's so green. It just feels like I traveled back in time to just, I don't know, it felt like I was in a dream. And I didn't know what I was doing here. I had no idea what I was supposed to do or why my higher self told me to come here, but I knew I was just here. And I dedicated the first week to just walking around and getting acclimated to the land and seeing if I can read the signs and communicate with the people, and seeing if I can just maneuver and in the space. And it felt so easy to me. It felt so easy. And I have a very interesting history with Mexico, actually, because I grew up in Los Angeles, and Los Angeles is like 60% Mexican, Hispanic, Latino, because it used to belong to them. So we grew up very, very close to Mexicans, Hispanics, Latinos. For Christmas, we always make enchiladas. That could be wrong, but as a Black person, with our like Christmas and Thanksgiving, to always include enchiladas or tacos is we'll do it our way, but we will incorporate the culture. You feel me? So like what I'm trying to say is Latino culture, Hispanic culture has always been intertwined into my life in some sort of way. Because I lived in California and because I grew up with Hispanics, Mexicans, Latinos, Latino culture, I took 4 years of Spanish in high school, and because I just knew I would use it at some point in my life, and I'm using it now. It just came back around in that time. But I just remember doing deep dives into their culture and to their indigenous culture, and I don't know if I felt connected, but I just felt like coming up and growing up in Palmdale, Lancaster, Los Angeles, Southern California, so close to the border. I just felt like in a lot of ways our cultures were very, very similar. I I connected to their culture a lot. I connected to the spirit, the colors, the food, the seasoning, the talk, the language, the attitude, everything. I thought it was so close to Black culture, and it was something that just kind of like interwoven into my life. So coming to Mexico was not far-fetched for me. It was like it was like pulling from a past life, not a past life, but pulling from my past in ways that I did not know were going to come out at this time. So, anyways, I'm in Mexico and I'm here and I'm walking around and I'm figuring out and I'm discovering things and I'm trying to speak the language and I'm pulling out Spanish from 12th grade year and I'm just feeling happy and finally at peace, and more importantly, feeling free. That was a thing I felt, ironically, the first time I got here was just free. Oh my God. I felt that people noticed me because, of course, I'm a morenita, as they say. Of course, people notice me because my skin is darker, but it wasn't like a notice me in a we hate you sort of way. It was a notice me in a interesting, hola chica type of way, like kind of like, why is she here? Hola chica sort of thing. And, you know, I, it was different because in the US, when I'm noticed, there are so many judgments. There's so many preconceived notions and prejudgments about my personhood. But when I got here, I never felt that. It was the first time in my life where I never felt prejudged about who I was, who I am. And also I felt safe. I have felt more safe here in Mexico as a Black woman than I've ever felt in America as a Black woman. I felt that walking around as a Black woman in America, that it was a free-for-all on my life. Whatever you wanted to do to me, you could. But in Mexico City, being here, I feel like it was an acknowledgement and basically like go about your way, just respect us and we'll respect you. I never felt targeted. I never felt that if I was going to walk outside and expose my magic and just be me and appreciate my personhood and my energy and my surroundings and turn my light on, that someone was going to stop me and try to snatch me off the side of the street. I never felt that. I felt that I can be myself and feel myself and express myself and walk around loudly and proudly and however I felt I wanted to walk around and not feel threatened and not feel that someone was going to come and try to accost me. And I always felt that way in the United States. I think I even actually did a video on that. Actually, if you scroll my Instagram or my TikTok, I think I did a video of me just walking outside. I literally was walking outside, filming myself. And I got into this whole like love triangle with this guy and this girl, and this guy lived at his girlfriend's house, but he was outside and he saw me, and then he was trying to get my number, trying to force me to give him my number, and then his girlfriend came out and we were in this whole like love triangle, literally 4 houses down from my literal home. And I had to run back inside because I just got into this whole traumatic drama-filled thing just walking outside. And I never felt that here. I never felt that in Mexico City. And I think I'm so grateful for that because that's what I needed. That's what I needed the most, was to feel safe. To feel safe in who I am. But the most interesting thing to me and for me being here is that I got to feel my magic again. I, in the US, was feeling like I couldn't feel my magic and I didn't have a connection to the universe like I usually had because of how much trauma and just like horrible shit that was happening in the country. Like, I couldn't hear myself, and I couldn't find my connection to the universe, and I couldn't get in my flow. And one thing that I noticed immediately being here in Mexico City was I immediately connected to nature, and I connected to the energy of this place, and I connected to the magic of this place. And then every part of my movement, all of my movements since I've been here have been magical and miraculous and serendipitous. And I feel finally like I'm like at one with nature and one with the universe again, to where I'm back on my path. So, oh my gosh. Um so many crazy things have happened. Um first, first, I didn't have a place to live solidified. Like, I was only supposed to be here for 2 weeks, and that was August. Right now it's February. So I didn't really have a place solidified, you know what I mean? And I came here by myself. So all I knew was, as long as I followed my heart, that it would lead me in the perfect places. That's all I knew. So I was really, really just trusting in the universe. And a big lesson of mine being here was to learn how to retrust. I hate that. One of my lessons was the word is retrust, but I don't like that. I want to say it better. One of my lessons here, I didn't really have that much faith in my surroundings, because nothing would really come out of any of the things that I would do. So I didn't really have I didn't have a lot of faith. And so I needed to rebuild my faith and my trust in myself again. And coming to Mexico City, not knowing anybody, not having a place to live outside of the first week of Airbnb that I got, not knowing the land, I really had to trust myself, and I had to trust in God, and I had to trust in the universe. That's what I was trying to say. And so I literally went from Airbnb to Airbnb to Airbnb in different parts of the city. Sometimes last minute, like, I wouldn't have an Airbnb, and I'll tell you this time. Because the first half of my time being here was just like trying to find a secure place to live, and trying to figure out if I was literally going to stay here or not. And I was kind of stuck here, so I was just like, I do have to maneuver in this mess, okay? So I would go from Airbnb to Airbnb to Airbnb. I lived in Condesa, like 3 different places in Condesa. I lived in 4 different places in La Roma. I lived in 1, 2, 3, 4 different places in Juarez. And I'll explain to you the magic of it. So one time I had a checkout of my Airbnb, right? And it was like during a time that was very, very busy in the city. I'm not sure what was going on in the city, but something crazy was going on to where a lot of people were coming to the city. So Airbnbs were not really accessible. And the ones that were accessible were like $3,000 a night. Not joking you at all. $3,000 a night. And I wasn't going to pay any of those type of dollars. So I didn't have an Airbnb, and I checked out of my Airbnb for the day, and I didn't have any place to go that night. So I just had my luggage, right? And my spirit just said, have your luggage and stand outside. And I was like, just stand outside? And my spirit said, yeah, because, I mean, what are you going to do? You're not going to pay $3,000 a night, and there's no other alternative. So just stand at this point where I tell you to stand, and just stand there. And I was like, okay, I have nothing else to do. And I remember I text some friends and asked them if I could stay at their place for the night. But the friends that I text that I met here, they were out of town, so I didn't have a place to stay. So I tried my hand at this thing, trying to make this happen, right? And my spirit just said, I told you to just stand here, just stand here. So I said, okay. So I literally stood in this one place for 2.5 hours. And then I believe it was like 11 o'clock at night. And I was like, okay, I'm literally just standing here with my luggage. They were like, good, stand here like I said. So I said, okay. Out of nowhere, like 2.5 hours later of me just standing there and just having faith that something would happen, a woman and her husband walked by. It was, like I said, I think it was like 11 o'clock at night. She was walking her dog at 11 o'clock at night. She passed by me and she said, ¿Está bien? And I said, she said, ¿Seguro? And I said, yo no sé. And she said, okay. And she just walked by. And I will tell you, this place is so hospitable. Everyone asks you, ¿Está bien? ¿Estás bien? Meaning, are you okay? Or any place you walk in, you say, buenas tardes, buenas noches, buenas tardes, buenos dias. You know, everyone really, you greet everyone. Just like in the South, you got to say hello to everybody when you walk in. When you pass somebody in the street, you got to say hello. How are you doing? It's the same thing. So she walked by me and she said, ¿Estás bien? I said, and she said, ¿Seguro? And I said, yo no sé. She said, okay. And she walked past me. And 5 minutes later, she came back again. And she said, ¿Estás bien? 11 o'clock at night. And I said, yo no sé, meaning I don't know. And she said, necesitas un departamento. Departamente. Is that right? Departamento. Necesitas un departamento. Meaning, do you need a place to stay, basically? And I said, sí. And she said, tengo un Airbnb. I have an Airbnb. And I said, oh my gosh, really? And she said, sí, aquí. And she brought me to her Airbnb. And she had this really cute Airbnb in La Condesa. And she said, in Espanol, you can have it for 2 days. You know, I have other guests coming in, pero you can have it for 2 days. You could stay here for 2 days. And I said, oh my gosh, are you serious? 11 o'clock at night. And she said, sí. You know, todo bien. And I think it was this cute, like 1-bedroom, like cottage place. And I kid you not, it was $30 a night. And I could not believe it. It was such a magical thing. And she just brought me to the Airbnb and she's just like, you know, basically descansar, you know, rest. And she said, quiero chicken soup? Or quieres chicken soup? Do you want chicken soup? And I was like, yeah. She said, I'll make you soup. So she made me soup for the night. And I couldn't believe it. I couldn't even believe it. That's all I can say. I couldn't believe it. I was just sitting in this cute little cottage in the middle of La Condesa. Like I cannot believe that this is how this is happening here. I'm a home cooked meal right now. You cooked me some food. I'm so lucky. And she made me chicken soup and she brought me breakfast in the morning and I paid her. And sure as time bends here in miraculous ways, 2 days later, the event that was in the city was done with and then all the Airbnbs opened up and they were affordable again. I just literally needed 2 days. I needed a place to stay for literally just 2 days and everything opened up again. And the next morning, like I said, she brought me breakfast and I was in a beautiful area in the city, like next to Parque Mexico, where I can go and meditate. And it was just a miraculous thing that happened. It was just a beautiful and miraculous thing that happened and a gift from a stranger who just saw me and offered help. And it was like I said, it was just a beautiful moment, and it showed me, the city showed me trust in yourself, trust in nature, trust in the universe, having faith in humanity, having faith in each other, helping each other out, caring about each other, and not feeling so disconnected and so above that you cannot reach out and help the person that you see that's literally just standing there with her luggage one night, you know? So many serendipitous things like that have happened to me since being here. And me maneuvering from Airbnb to place, from little city to town, living in these different places, experiencing the culture in a way that I've never experienced it before. Experiencing Dia de los Muertos, which was such a dream for me, and I had no idea. When I was studying Spanish in high school, I heard about Dia de los Muertos, and I thought it was the most beautiful holiday, the most beautiful celebration, the most beautiful thing that you can do is just remember the people that passed before you. And I told myself back in high school that I wanted to celebrate Dia de los Muertos in Mexico at some point in my life, but I forgot about it. You know, things happen in life. And remember, I told you I was supposed to be in Mexico for only 2 weeks? I ended up just staying and staying and staying and learning and maneuvering and feeling and experiencing and exploring. And I kind of lost track of time. Then one day I looked up and I was walking around the city and I saw these marigolds everywhere. These very, very bright, beautiful orange marigolds all over the city. And I was like, why? And so I looked it up and it was like, you know, October is time for Dia de los Muertos, where the city gets ready for this holiday and they bring out the marigolds and they put them all over the door frames and put them in the middle of the street, in the plazas, everywhere around the city. There's these beautiful, bright orange marigolds. And I said, oh my gosh, I cannot believe I'm literally in the city for Dia de los Muertos. This is a dream of mine that I've had since I was in high school, and I completely forgot about it because life happened. And now I'm actually here. And oh my God, it was just the most beautiful, the most magical time just to see how the city came alive and to see how the city celebrated this beautiful holiday of remembrance of the people that passed and the people in the community. And it was just a time that reminded me that dreams are beyond career based and monetary based, and I want to be, you know, this big have this big amazing occupation and have all this money and have this big house and this family, all this stuff. Like, dreams are more precious than that. Dreams are the things that you've always wanted to do when you were a kid that you forgot about because life happened, and then, you know, the universe finds a way to bring it back to you if you still believe in it and you still believe in yourself, and if you still believe in like your childlike innocence and the beauty of life. I learned to experience those small dreams that I forgot about that make life beautiful. And through all of that, it helped me to be reborn, and it brought me a lot. It helped me to feel and be reborn, and it what am I trying to say? It brought me to life in a way that I never imagined was possible. It was like a whole entire rebirth. And outside of that, I kept maneuvering and moving to different Airbnbs and meeting people along the way and meeting expats and meeting locals. And, you know, literally just passing by and saying hi to people and meeting people as I'm just outside. And the idea for the Velvet Room came to me. I wanted to create a space that was sensual and sexual and feminine and just me. And I wanted to create a place where I can just live and create a container for myself to just be alive. And the Velvet Room came to me, and this idea came, and I just didn't know how I was going to do it. And one day, one like random afternoon, a girl that I met here asked me if I wanted to go to a house party of one of her friends. And so I'm like, okay, fine, I go. So I go to the house party, and it's just like a bunch of creatives and artists and, like people in the industry that were there. And I sat down next to this guy and we started just talking about random things. And I told him about what I wanted to do. And I showed him kind of like mock ups of the Velvet Room and what I wanted it to look like. And he said, oh my gosh, I have the perfect place for you. I have the perfect studio that you could shoot this in. Like, we just got this place and we're looking for creatives like you to fill it up and just do your thing inside of it. And it happened to be this beautiful Spanish style home that I'm sitting in right now. And that's how the Velvet Room came to life. Like, literally maneuvering through Mexico City and feeling the energy and the magic of this place and trusting in myself and trusting in the synchronicity of life and trusting in the beauty of life and literally knowing that if I'm in a place where I'm completely free, I feel completely safe and I feel completely just open and receptive to whatever the world has for me, beautiful things can happen. And everything just came full circle and everything was just absolutely perfect. And it all fell into place. And I call this episode my love letter to Mexico City because I would have never been able to express myself in this way if I hadn't have come here. And I remember asking my higher self since I've been here in August, like, why Mexico City? Why Mexico City? Why the fuck did you tell me to come here? Like, thank you, but I just want to know why. And like, please reveal that to me. And the most important thing that I gotten was this place is very feminine. It's a very, very feminine city. It feels like you're dancing with a woman. It feels like the way the city moves and the way time moves, it feels like you're just dancing with a beautiful girl. That's how it feels to me being here. It's very heart chakra. It's very throat chakra. It's very third eye. Whereas when I was living in the US, it was very sacral chakra, very, deep and dark. And my spirit does not maneuver in the dark. And when my higher self woke me up at 4:30 in the morning and told me to come to Mexico City, it knew the exact place in this world that I needed to be with and connect to at this time in order to be able to express myself and be in alignment with my spirit, with the universe, with my God, with my higher self, and with my highest expression. And I'm in this beautiful studio. And I'm literally living my dream right now. And I would have never thought that I would have this experience. I would have never thought I would have this experience. I'm literally living inside of my dream. And so I'm the happiest I've ever been right now. And so I want to dedicate this first episode of the Velvet Room to the place that made it possible and the place that gave me the space and the freedom and the beauty and the energy and the timing and the magic to be able to do so and bring it together so beautifully. So thank you, Mexico City. I am so happy to welcome you to the Velvet Room. This entire season will just be about my present moment, how I feel in the present. It'll be about people I've met while I was here, stories I've heard, ways I've connected to the city and the people here. So I hope that you enjoyed this first episode like I did. I hope that you thought it was a vibe the way I did. And I will see you in the next episode.